then best believe rotations are going to go over to Kabuki, and it's over.
Yeah, it's been really tough. I think the meta itself, even just in the mid lane pool, right? The fact that now we have Lancelot being literally the apex predator in the jungle, and the patch also indirectly affected that mid lane hero pool. You basically constricted to even lesser viable choices, which is already, you know, a big disadvantage compared to the patch before, when mid lane is already sort of suffering, and now we are demanding a role that has to take priority in the lane, help the team out in the side lanes, but also have minimal tools to work with. It really is a lot of strenuous responsibility for the Indonesian, for YESQ. So I agree. I think that mid trio has to really be on point.
Here we go. Draft has already begun. It's going to be Cambodia on the play alongside Indonesia answering back. They get the 2-pick power swing, but what comes through? What are they allowed to trade with? Lancelot, already banned out by Indonesia. Fanny, taken out. There's the aforementioned 1-1. The Zushin, the Kalia. Still open would be the Arlot, the Farsa, and the Yisun Shin.
Yeah. We go for the CC, and we have first pick. It was questioned maybe like 2 months ago. It was a big question mark, but now we are seeing actually it does work out. Even in the Cup, Jushin gets let through, and you know that Detective is not going to let that slide.
Oh, Detective is a very dangerous man with the Yisun Shin. Macro control, carry potential when he hits his power spike. Indonesia, what do they trade with? Did they go with, there's the Farsa.
Farsa.
The Baksha, safe. All right, so they're just covering their bases. They have rotational speed, they have artillery. Again, our worries about that mid trio, they're answering it now. How does Cambodia move forward from here? Do they lock in the Harith or the Granger in the first phase?
I think if you, I personally am looking at the Granger, right? It's not the worst. If you, in terms of matchup into Harith, I still think you would want the Granger on your side, judging by the fact that, you know, 1-1 is already taken out. I wouldn't be surprised. Coming from Cambodia itself, if they decide to go hard on the first 3 picks, I think it's completely fine. I think the onus is still on red side to kind of fill out that 3rd pick. I think if you, let's say you don't take Kabuki's pick, you can bet that the Cambodia squad is going to start banning him out and really choking him.
Also, something to note, there it is, the Moskov. I was going to say, there's a big hero that also makes up for the macro control Baksha gives. And look at this, the answer immediately. The Hayabusa to close up the first phase for Indonesia.
So I do like, this is a bit of a curveball. We have seen a Baksha second, and then you throw in an actual jungle pick. So like you mentioned earlier on, it does cover the basis of the mid trio. Fast rotation with the Baksha and Farsa, quick level 4 gank, in fact great level 4 gank potential too when Haya gets his ult.
So the question is, how does Cambodia answer the possibility of a late game comeback? If ever it goes sideways, right? If some way, somehow Indonesia snowballs, I'm still worried about Cambodia's in-base defense because they have mid-wave clear. I wonder if they can answer that with something in the EXP, a damage EXP. I'm confused why the Arlot and the Phoveus and the Lapu-Lapu are still open. This rarely happens.
I agree. I think if you want wave clear, then suddenly Arlot doesn't seem as good. I mean, you still want setup. The Selena herself isn't sufficient. But I feel like if you want some damage, maybe Lapu-Lapu is your next best bet. Decent damage. But the current pool doesn't really have, you know, good heroes in the XP and roam to help you clear lanes fast, right? You're relying on primarily the mage, but in this case, I think only the Moskov has that capacity to do so.
Yep. And it looks like Cambodia is afraid to commit to the Arlot because they still see the Phoveus is out there. The Claude gets locked in by Kabuki. It's an old school pick for the franchise player for Liquid ID, now playing for his country. Team Cambodia, they have to lock in their EXP laner and the roamer here.
Did get the Cho banned out. Just now we saw the Indonesia really respecting Boxy. That's one of his signature, his most comfortable pick. It's more towards that XP lane, right? No glue. I mean, there's still Phoveus and Arlot. You could take. I want to say Arlot, but then you need a roamer that can really kind of follow up with that. it has to be a package right now. They don't really have the setup aside from a Selena. So okay, Arlet and the Hilda to deal with the Hayabusa early on.
In this case, maybe you throw the Hilda onto Rome and then EXP Arlet. Depends on what the matchup is. So that's one of the cool things Team Cambodia has done here. And of course, you respond with a Phoveus. So this basically sends the Hilda into the EXP lane and then the Arlet to Rome. That's what I would do, just to protect that lane.
Yeah, I would expect that too. Judging by the swaps, it seems like they are putting Boxy on the Hilda. So we do see the priority, right? They don't mind letting Wadu take a beating, but they sure as heck want Boxy to slow down Joe as much as he can.
Okay. I think Wadu is just going to have to hunker down. Wadu is going to say, all right, I'll take it. If I lose this lane, so be it. I will just clear it, and then I'll join fights. This is better than throwing a Hilda onto the XP to just give the Arlet in mid, that trio mid, a hard job, because they have to... Let's see. Going into game number 1, it is indeed still the XP lane Arlet. Let's watch these initial rotations and see how hard of a matchup it is for Wadu going up against Aran.
I think it definitely goes back to what you were saying, right? The XP lane is so important. You have to be willing to just take it and be like, it's okay, as long as you don't start chain feeding and you don't lose your turret too early on. I think it's a trade that Cambodia is willing to take, and I think it's worth it. But again, the condition has to be you keep the lane as a dead lane and you don't end up letting the enemy jungle snowball out of an early rotation.
And between these two, I think it's likely, oh, what's up? Top lane, big action already.
Just 3 members of Cambodia on the top side. Of course, for Aran, he doesn't really care about that. This Phoveus can hold his own. Detective is the one that needs a bit of attention with Witty in the jungle. Should be able to get the purple buff for himself. Witty just getting information. And attempted steal, doesn't really get it, but it forces a flicker out of Oppie. And Boxy also needs to run away. Shadowkill comes out first blood for the side of Indonesia, and now they want to somehow get this Hayabusa out of the way, and they will do so with the slam of the spear, 1-for-1 trade in the Cambodian jungle.
Ju gets taken out. Good trade here for Boxy, and that immediately gets rid of all my worries. Oh no! That's Witty getting punished! He didn't exit the lane, the jungle fast enough. I was about to say, Ju is the one who should be more likely to snowball, but that gets shut down. He died so soon.
Being held back by Wadu, who refuses to let him roll out of there for free. And initially, it was Detective that was behind in experience, but off of that, he caught out, right? Hit level 4 at the right time, gets a free shutdown on the top lane. Turtle does spawn. It seems like Orion's going to be holding Boxy in place. There won't be any contest for Indonesia, so it's an easy turtle for Joe.
So Indonesia able to land on their feet and reposition, given the information that Detective is not in the vicinity. I wonder what Cambodia's plans are. I don't know if that's a very smart. Wait, he gets caught!
Instantly punished. That's a second takedown for Detective, and that's one of the ways to do so. I think we are seeing the application of this Hilda roam. You just keep up better with the Baxia. And now they're pressuring Kabuki bottom side, pin him to the wall. Boxy's gonna take aggro, no kill angle.
So far, it looks like Cambodia are in control, even when it comes to laning. Fresh wave coming up for both gold laners. That's Kabuki. He's doing okay. In all fairness, Kabuki, despite the mayhem across the map, is getting some safe farm. This mid trio by Indonesia are doing well to protect him, but if it's coming at the cost of Witty's life, oh, in comes Opie!
An attempt assassination onto Yehescu, but still not able to fulfill that. The damage is not enough, so they end up losing Boxy. Opie still jumps back in, and this time doesn't have the backup. Indonesia just walks away. They still have the shadow kill if they want to go on to Jing bottom side. They gotta be very careful. Detective actually gets caught in his own jungle, able to escape with a sliver of health.
That's Traceless for ya. Again, one of the reasons why Yisenshin is so in demand. Has macro control, has mechanical utilities. and crazy damage when he has the items. 4 minutes in, it's Indonesia as the first turtle. Now another spawning in the upper quarter. So slowly but surely, I think Ju is just checking how much he can get away with. And Witty, he's only died twice, which I think is relatively low given how much of space he's buying for the rest of the map on behalf of Team Indonesia.
I think the something that Team Indonesia can be relieved about is the fact that most of the goal right now is on Wadu. At least he's the one with the most takedowns, right? Lowest impact in this early game. If it was on Detective, it would be a slightly different story. Yes, good. This spot out Wadu, trying to chunk his health bar down. Meanwhile, they caught someone. That's Boxy. He's gonna flicker away to safety as Wadu just solo kills the Hes kill at the cost of their Roma. I think that's worth it for Cambodia. Another Abyssal Arrow lands onto Aran, and that's gonna be turtle for Cambodia. But they want more though. Witty is the next target. He's gonna use the Revitalize to try and escape Wadu with the final slash. Brings him back. Mega kill for Wadu as Ju jumps onto Detective, tries to take him down. Oppie is around, and Kabuki shows up for the cleanup, and Indonesia finds a trade.
Call that killing two birds with one stone. I believe Kabuki was just going to mid to double lane and get some farm, but suddenly he walks away with a kill. This does give some space to Zing and put down Indonesia's tier 1 in the gold lane down to about a third of its health, but still, Indonesia firing off on all cylinders, making Cambodia work for this advantage. Now it's gone. There's not even 100 gold between these two squads.
As close as it can get. Definitely what was expected out of this opening match. I mean, fortunately, Detective didn't get that kill onto Witty, because that would have procced the killing spree. Maybe get a snowball going in that earlier fight. Now the pressure shifts over to the bottom side, but once more, Team Cambodia doing very well with Boxy. Even though he has gone down 3 times, he's keeping up with the rotation and making sure that the core members are safe.
Yep, between the trading Boxy is doing with Witty, I'll say keep it up, young man. Keep it up. Keep going, Christian. Keep forcing these fights and keep jumping Wadu onto Aran here. Alright, so they've left their XP lane. I think Aran knows that there's not a fight he can win there. And Zing gets the first push.
All thanks to Detective forcing Kabuki back. So that's turret in the bottom lane going over to Team Cambodia. They even force out with his ultimate. He gets slowed down by the arrow, pause to revitalize, pin to the wall. That should be an easy kill. That one, Zing will be picking it up. And unfortunately, the flicker final slash a bit late from Wadu, but still they force Kabuki back. Spill of destruction up top doesn't connect onto Ju, so he gets free turret damage.
Okay, so so far this is good for Cambodia despite just having 1,000 gold. I'll say the fact that Zing is getting farm, Zing won his lane, and Zing is now up on gold, I reckon, but down on EXP. I'm thinking, how does he reconcile that? Where does he go? Does he go for a switch now? Or does he expect the fact that he can keep dominating his lane, keep staying here, and then force someone to respond to him because he can actually go coast to coast? Looking at the items, he actually is up by 200. That's not bad.
They use the Detective ult they saw and attempted steal on the purple buff, and Aran unfortunately gets pinned down. And that's another takedown. Jing finds his second kill. I think the only person with space right now on Team Indonesia is probably Ju. The arrow now connects onto Kabuki. The pin doesn't really follow up, but Kabuki dangerously low. Lethal Initiation almost taken down, but SOD will connect. Perfect snipe from Jing. Mid tier 1 goes down. Team Cambodia continuing a snowball. Boxy jumps onto Ju, and Shadow Kill will allow Ju to get the kill, but Wadu on top of him and just takes him out with the vengeance. He is straight up unstoppable on this Arlet.
Zing, zing, zing. This is his prime form. Peak Zing has entered the building. This is how he played in MPL Cambodia Season 7. I have a t-shirt because of this young man and how well he plays. I wear it proudly to rep MPL KH. He is making the most of all of these sacrifices across the board. Not to mention how Wadu is changing the course of team fights for Indonesia single-handedly. How would he still have no deaths and walking away with 5 kills? What was the build on this guy? I wasn't checking what the Arlet was. Is he a damage Arlet?
I would think not. I feel like he's still a bruiser Arlet. He's just getting all these free resets, right? All these crowd controls from his teammates are triggering the passive for him.
Whoa!
Boxy's gonna get punished. A 5-man gang squad in the bushes. Still want to follow up 4-man final slash. Jing now goes to work, but the Feather Airstrike is gonna push him back. more than enough for Indonesia to force a retreat from Team Cambodia, but at the cost of a run who ends up going down, and now the snowball will begin. The boat connects onto Ju. The Tracers, not enough, but Wadu once more to the rescue, and Team Cambodia comes up with 3.
Mountain Shocker is just too good. For the past 48 hours, Husky, I have been drooling and salivating at the best parts of most team fights started. Mountain Shocker with the stun right after. Look at this, Cambodia blitzing the Lord. Can they do this? Oh, they can. They get away with it. They don't get punished.
It's a free objective with Ju not around, and we actually saw the item for Wadu. He went Hunter Strike into Oracles. Now he just got a magic dagger. So you're right, he is going damage, and that explains, like this, when we came to the game and we saw Wadu on the Arla, we were thinking that, okay, his job is just to hold the lane against Aran and, you know, not chain feed. He's chain feeding on the Indonesian players. He is 7-0-3, Leo.
This is gross. I don't know what to name MVP right now if Cambodia were to win and run away with this. Wadu or Zing. I think they're competing amongst each other now, more so than just to get glory for Cambodia. Team Indonesia up against the walls here, down about 4K, 5K safe. Detective just secured his Blade of Despair, so it's gonna hurt. Wadu threatening here against Ju, jumps onto him underneath tier 2.
They didn't really take care of the structure. Wadu, if he gets that away from this, it's gonna be a blasphemy, but thankfully he does end up going down. Boxy able to hold the front SOD, doesn't connect. Witty will now have to start backing off, but unfortunately I think he has overextended. Mountain Shocker, the boat hits the air, and Witty gets away.
Unfortunate that the shutdown got on Wadu, and best part of it all for Indonesia, it went to Kabuki. Am I right to say that it went on Kabuki? That's a lot of items and a lot of money you put on that Claude right now at the 10-minute mark.
That's a very needed shutdown, right? Puts him closer to the Winds of Nature. He's 600-700 gold network behind Jing. They both are essentially going for the same item build, with Jing just getting his Winds of Nature, but if Indonesia just drags it out a bit more, then Kabuki will be in the same spot, and allows him to stay safer from Detective as well, because without the one, Detective can literally 3-shot him and not allow him to be in the fight with the Blazing Duet. That will change in a bit. I think it's a bit of a overextension from Team Cambodia. They didn't really need to do that, but for Team Indonesia, they can breathe a sigh of relief.
It's not over just yet. I think Team Indonesia have a solid high ground defense. They also have quite the power spike. Again, this is a relatively greedy lineup they drafted. Triple core, the Farsa, the Hayabusa, and the Claude. Not to even mention Aran might even start popping off with his Phoveus, which, again, possibly might be the most underwhelming part of their draft. Do you agree, Husky? Because we haven't really seen the Phoveus threaten much against anyone from Team Cambodia.
No, in fact, he was just getting chain control, right? Like, he wants to join the fight. There's really nothing much he could do. There's no ideal target for Aran to jump on. I think he just has to accept the fact that he's a sponge. He's going to soak up damage as much as he can, and then let the rest of his team do the job. Because every single time we see Aran showed up, he's either forced away from the fight, or he just gets chain CC and then killed off.
And it's been a tough time for Aran. Again, he's forced to be an anchor. He has to somehow find a way to make these fights last longer, so that Indonesia can find a more favorable position here in this 11.5-minute game. They're down 5K. Suddenly, Cambodia found a lead again after the shutdown. Arrow thrown out. It's just Weedy. Wow, Boxy's life is just so much more valuable. His deaths are so much more efficient for his team. Weedy coming in.
Really wants to force an engagement, but can he soak up enough damage to his team? That to be the case. Wadu again, a flicker final slash to the backline. They take out Ju, and a double kill for Detective SOD. Barely dodged by IESF, but this fight done and dusted. Once more, Wadu being the difference maker, canceling the feather airstrike alongside the ultimate engage, and Cambodia comes out with 3 on top.
For free, Husky, for free. Not a single member fell by Team Indonesia. They tried, they gave it their old Boy Scout try, but it only got them here with Cambodia inside their base. Down goes the mid lane inhibitor. Top lane gonna follow through. Aran is trying.
They're trying to soak up as much output as possible. Even jumps in with the Infernal Pursuit, but you know that he's gonna go down. Mega kill for Detective. Wadu doesn't really accept the final bounce. In fact, Jewel gets away with nothing to boot. 2 low health members on Cambodia and 2 inhibitors down for Indonesia.
And the Kamai squad get away with Grand Theft Orange. This is still a good position for them. They can actually try to take the Lord here, but I think they need to recover the map. Bottom lane looking juicy for Team Indonesia. Big fat wave rolling through there. The jungle still rife with farm, so that is OP and Zing clearing it out. But look, I don't know if this is the right call. Husky, Widdy is still looking for a play. They're down about 8,000 gold, and he's still looking for a play.
I think if they want to make something happen, it has to be quick, right? It has to be in and out. Maybe you throw Widdy's life away, but you get a valuable takedown for Jewel. It's a tall task. They are quite far behind. Mountain Shaka unleashed, and now Widdy once more caught, and he's going to be sacrificed. There's really nothing that he could do at this point. He gets info for his team, but now this Lord is in jeopardy. Another arrow connects onto Aran. Indonesia basically shut out from the objective, and Team Cambodia finds the second Lord, but I think they can go for more. SOD connects, shallow kill for Stout. They do end up taking OP down. Joe with a good takedown. Water to the back line. Once more, final slash secures Aran's demise. And now Jing is going to follow up forward. Cambodia up 1 man.
Regroup here for Team Cambodia. Readying for the assault. Lord going to be spawning in about 5 seconds. For Team Indonesia, the defense of a lifetime. Aran will be out of commission. Oh, Wadu breaks out!
And he goes for his skill, allows Detective to get the takedown. The boat connects for the Mountain Shocker and a Winter Crown just to negate the shadow kill. This game pretty much done and dusted unless Kabuki can make magic happen. Actually takes that Detective. They go onto the Crystal. Jing does have enough health to work with, and with the Lord coming in, game 1 for Team Cambodia.
He did the Zing. He stayed away from the fight, and he just focused on the base with about 1 HP left on both of them, on everyone. Team Cambodia at match point. Amazing work. Husky, I think this is more of Indonesia doing so many vibe checks and trying too many things in the short amount of time that they got punished hard.
Yeah, they really did. The first invade, it looked good, right? They attempted to steal the purple buff of Detective. They didn't get it, but they were still ahead in experience. And then we saw the punish start coming in. We saw Aran lose control of the lane, and there was no one there to check Wadu. He was setting everything up. You want a team fight? Cool, I'll do it. There's a solo queue angle. I'll go for the solo queue. Wadu was the key for Team Cambodia. We wanted him to just be a pillar, but he became more than that. He became the catalyst for Team Cambodia from that mid to late game to start winning small skirmishes that converted into big fights.
Wadu was more than just a pillar, Husky. Wadu was the whole damn house. Look at this. Even in the later parts of the early game, post laning, here in the mid game towards the last turtle, he was doing everything for Team Cambodia and compromising Team Indonesia's approaches to any sort of solid ground to stand on, to try and get farm on Kabuki, to try and get Ju to do anything. So maybe they had a solid mid trio, but if the map couldn't be settled for your team like this, then it's a non-starter. Great going here for Team Cambodia.
Yeah, this one was a massive, final slash. If it weren't for Yeheskyu's Feather S, right, deterring Team Cambodia away, I think that would have been a nasty wipeout. And even then, with everything from the kitchen sink thrown at Team Cambodia, they still came up with the better trade. And when we see the XP laners mirror each other's movement, there was a distinct difference where Wadu gets to participate in all these interactions, whereas for Aran, he's forced to sit and watch it happen because the moment he walks up, he's gonna get pummeled.
And get pummeled he did. That's an understatement. Towards the later part of the game, this was a relatively quick game, about 7 minutes, 8 minutes in, Aran just knew that he wasn't doing much. He was actually being more of a liability. Look, he was just serving up farm. the team Cambodia, so he just made himself scarce. I don't know if that's the best thing to do at this point. But what a read. Again, this is how you play Arlott into the Phoveus. Just run away, play the map instead of the lane, and then you're good to go. Wow, I don't think you could do that. I don't think you could get away with this kind of matchup, because usually the Arlott just loses.
Yeah, I mean, he got away with way too much. The fact that his first item is straight up a Hunter's Strike really says a lot about the game that Wadu had. Even having a rose gold media by the time the game ended, we wanted to see if Team Indonesia would utilize this mid trio, and maybe you give Aran a foot up in the matchup just by bringing the presence to the top side. But after one failed invade and giving Wadu 2 kills, they just completely abandoned the idea. They were not able to translate that over to Jing. They were not able to translate it to provide pressure to Oppi, because he was just straight up placing traps all around the map. This trio fell apart pretty quickly for the Indonesian team.
Yeah, again, it was clear what Team Indonesia was trying to do. Weedy was actually doing what Baxi was doing, but without the same returns, because the XP lane wasn't doing as much in return for them.
Yeah.
So Team Indonesia have to go back to the drawing board very clearly, see how the stats are skewed against them, and Team Cambodia, they just continue playing their game. I have no further words for Team Cambodia here going into match point for them. This was a solid draft.
Incredibly solid, with both teams throwing out some sort of a curveball. We saw Team Indonesia do that. They first pick a Farsa, they follow up with the Baxia, and then they throw in the Hayabusa. And that's where you kind of straight up revealed your card, right? They didn't think of hiding it long enough. They were worried about maybe Hayabusa getting banned out if they don't pick it here. But then Cambodia having the blue side pick, which arguably is the stronger side in this case, they picked the Arlott Hilda last. And the curveball was putting Hilda in the roam role to match the Baxia's rotation, but getting a lot more return because he's just more valuable as a sandbag, I think, as the game progresses.
And